Yeah, some big jumpers there, and I'm sure we'll see plenty more heights cleared yet, although they're struggling a little bit early. Maybe some travel in those legs from Tokyo and Eugene over in the Pacific Northwest last weekend.
So on the track, not far from the women's high jump there, the women's 1500 lining up, pacemaker Chanel Price. Jemma Reekie moving up from a normal event, the 800, but is pretty good at 1500 as well. And then Freweyni, Gebreezibeher, the very talented 20-year-old Ethiopian, made the final in this event at the Olympic Games. Linden is having a great season, under 4 minutes. Snowden will be going for a great bit. And one or two others to look out for as well. I think particularly this young lady here, Josette Norris, who's not so well known, only her second Diamond League meeting, but she ran in Eugene, ran very well. Didn't make the US Olympic team, attempted to make it at 5,000, but she produced a sub-4 clocking, first one ever after the US trials, and is in great form. And, although she wouldn't be one of those that people would know too much about, just watch out for her here. But as Tim was making the point, not everybody travels well coming back from Eugene across. It's a quick turnaround back into Europe. Talking to Linden, and everybody's having travel issues around the COVID restrictions we all have, but I think the Australians have had it as tough as anybody over the last 18 months or so. So women's 1500, Chanel Price to set the pace. So they've been asked for a fairly swift but sensible, I think, 63, get round to 2.6 and see if Price can get them all the way to 1,000 metres and then see what happens after that. And we've got, as I said, these couple of very, very talented Ethiopians, Gebreezibeher in particular, who can run fast 800, and we saw in Monaco she's also got great 1500 metre pace, and Meshesha as well, who again has run sub-4 this year. So that wind might just take the edge off it a little bit, but Chanel Price is very, very experienced, and I'm sure we'll just judge it right. And they've got the lights that are shining brightly in the night sky now in Lausanne, and she's just ahead of that pace a little bit that was asked for.
Yeah, Steve, she's a 1:58 800-metre runner, and Chanel Price there sensibly with about almost 300 done, having a glance round, just seeing that she's getting it right for the athletes behind. And then good news is that they are going with her. I think that's Linden in third place, who will want to keep this pace honest. She will probably be wary, as will several of these athletes, of the 800-metre speed of the likes of Jemma Reekie and Gebreezibeher that you've already mentioned. But you can see here Chanel Price just trying to drag them along.
Yeah, Meshesha just moves up. Linden, who likes a good, hard, strong pace, isn't always able to produce the kick that some of the others can, the likes of Jemma Reekie, but she's tucked in on the inside. It looks like Norris isn't quite sure whether to chase Hall. 7-second improvement at 1500 metres. She's still perhaps finding her feet at this event. So she's just allowing that gap. They've all allowed that gap to appear, as Linden really has tried to grab hold of this. Gebreezibeher trying to move up now, realising the danger. 2 laps to go. Chanel Price will try and keep going for a little while longer and looks back to see only Linden behind her.
Well, Linden Hall's got a bit of an opportunity here, Steve, hasn't she? I don't know if she was aware that there's a 10-metre gap behind her, maybe more. But if Chanel Price were to drop out here, then Linden Hall, I think, is running strongly enough after that brilliant second place at Prefontaine last Saturday to get her head down and push this over the next lap and a half. That gap's stretched, hasn't it? What's that, 12, 13 metres? She's pulling away, and she really needs to glance up at the big screen in front of her right now and see what's before her. Great chance to get away.
Josette Norris leading the chase. I think they got to 800 and realised how slow they were. Hall was only 2.7, and she's certainly capable of staying out there. She'll have the wind on her back now. Chanel Price has kept going really well to 1,000 metres. So Linden the Australian, with a good 10, 12 metres, maybe even a little bit more than that. She's got the lights to chase as she comes down towards the bell. Pérez now moves to the front with Josette Norris, Jemma Reekie in close attention. And then moving on the outside, Gebreezibeher finally coming to life, the Ethiopian, but they've got a lot of chasing to do. Linden still with that lead and looking strong at the minute, although perhaps that gap just starting to shorten.
Well, it's shortening a little bit, Steve, but Linden in great shape. Sub-4 last Saturday at Prefontaine. I got that lap to the bell for Linden at 65.03. That's still about 10 or 11 metres, and she's strong enough to keep her head down here and hold them at bay. I think she deserves it.
Gebreezibeher chasing, Josette Norris as well. They've both got great strength. Gebreezibeher perhaps with a little bit more pace, but they've still got work to do. Linden hanging on there. She's still got a 7 or 8 metre lead, and Gebreezibeher now just changes gear a little bit. She's the one with a big kick, and is she going to run down Linden? Looks as though she may. The Australian now looks a little bit tired, and Gebreezibeher still having to work hard. Josette Norris is chasing, but Linden might have enough to hang on to second. We'll see. But it's Gebreezibeher who's going to come away from the win. The Ethiopian, it's going to be just outside 4 minutes, 4-2. Linden second. Norris takes third spot again, same as she did last week, and then Pérez and Reekie chasing in. Well, what a strange race that was, really. Only Linden thought, okay, Chanel Price is going at a reasonable pace, it's not that fast. She went out, attacked it, or didn't even attack it, I guess, just went with the pace, but found herself a little bit in no man's land then with 500 metres to go. And it wasn't until, I think, the 150 mark that Gebreezibeher finally looked as though she could run the Australian down, but nobody else managed to do it.
Absolutely right, yeah. Gebreezibeher, I suppose, had that target, and with that 3:56 form, she is 2 or 3 seconds on paper quicker than Linden. But a brilliant run from the Australian, really gave it her all. I like to see athletes really commit like that. Why nobody else went with her here as she decides to try and go with Chanel Price? I don't know. Norris there in third place. The new name from the USA didn't quite have the legs through the last 400 metres, but an athlete of Gebreezibeher's calibre had that target of Linden. Of course, every metre you gain on somebody, so your adrenaline increases and you realise the race is coming back to you. Wins fairly comfortably eventually, but that's a great run from Linden as well.
Yeah, I think they just, when Linden went past and went after the pacemaker, there was kind of looking around and everybody wondering whether they should do or should move as well. I think Meshesha was the one who was sitting in that position and the others just didn't follow. And Norris maybe should have done. She's stronger. She needs a good, strong, hard race as well. Didn't quite have the pace to go with Gebreezibeher when they changed up at the end. So Gebreezibeher takes the win. Hall, very good second place. Norris, third for the second week in a row.